May the sound of this bell penetrate deep into the cosmos. Even in the darkest spots, living beings are able to hear it clearly, so that all suffering in them ceases. Understanding comes to their heart, and they transcend the path of sorrow and death. The universal Dharma door is already open. The sound of the rising tide is heard clearly. The miracle happens. A beautiful child appears in the heart of the lotus flower. One single drop of this compassionate water is enough to bring back the refreshing spring to our mountains and rivers. Listening to the bell, I feel the afflictions in me begin to dissolve. My mind calmed, my body relaxed. A smile is born on my lips. Following the sound of the bell, my breath brings me back to the safe island of mindfulness. In the garden of my heart, the flowers of peace bloom beautifully. At this time, I would ask the incense lighters to please come forward. And we will chant the incense offering that you can find in your booklet. And we say, in gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding. Slowly ripening, may we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Last time I looked down, there's like nobody here. Just about. so a completely filled room. Just about. All right. Well, it's good to see everybody's here on a gloomy holiday weekend. I know there's some new faces in the crowd, so welcome. I don't know if I have too much to say. I'll get right along to the courtesy announcements. Okay. Families with small children are welcome to use the downstairs area for their needs. There's water fountain and cups available down there. If you find that if there's a need for family members to be seated next to each other, please move around and accommodate. So hopefully everybody's good. A reminder not to walk across the front. If you need to use the side or go downstairs, please use the back. And we're about to chant, and we like to chant at a medium pace, kind of bring some life into the sutras. I think with that, I will invite each side to stand up and greet each other with a silent bow. Everyone open their booklet. We will chant the 3 refuges and the Heart Sutra. There we go. Page 7. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion, and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha support my efforts. Paramita Hridaya Sutra, Bodhisattva of great compassion, from the practice of prajna, Paramita, received the emptiness of all 5 skandhas, and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of sight. No realm of consciousness. No ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance. No old age and death, nor extinction of them. No suffering, no cause of suffering. No cease from suffering. No path to the out of suffering. No knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but the prajna, paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant fearless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita, grate, grate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisattva. Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisattva. Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisattva. Dhamma, prajna, paramita, Hridaya, Sutra.
All right. So we have a Dharma talk today from my older Dharma sibling, Sonshin. They've been here a couple times before, and it's always a treat. So I'm just going to give you the floor, and everybody please enjoy.
Hello all. I'm going to start this off a little bit differently. I'm going to do a chant called the Enmai Juko Kanen Gyo. It's traditionally chanted 7 times. I'm just going to do it once for you, and I don't expect you to chant along. So I'm just going to do it once, and then I'll talk about it a little bit later. Kanze annamu butsu yo butsu en yo butsu en buppo so en joraku kazo chonen kanze an bonen kanze an nen jushin ki nen furishin. Thank you. My name's Sonshin. It's a name given to me by my teacher, Shuji, after I took on the Bodhisattva vows. You can remember it, Sun, like what's in the sky, and Shin, what's behind your leg. That's how I like to remember it, at least. I've been kind of going through it the last couple of weeks, so I'm not sure how much this will be a pull you up talk, but more of a I'll sit next to you and we'll figure it out together talk. So, the name of my talk today is When Compassion Fails. I'm going to start this to talk about a story, I guess, something that happened to me, probably about a year ago now. My schedule at work's a little unique. I tend to have lots of random breaks throughout the day. Sometimes I'll be at home at, 2, 3 o'clock when everybody else is still working. It's nice because I kind of get the whole neighborhood to myself. So one day it was in the middle of summer. I had the windows open and I was laying on the couch and my cat was laying on top of me, kind of like Totoro style, if you've ever seen that movie. And I heard a huge meow, growl kind of scream, and I perked up and so did my cat. I'm like, what is that? And we kept hearing it. And when we looked out the window to see what was going on and we saw the house next to us, neighbor's house, I saw an orange cat that we know very well because it's kind of the neighborhood cat that kind of belongs to everybody, visits our porch pretty often. And they were kind of flopping around on the porch, having a seizure. And, the neighbors weren't home. Nobody else was really around. So I popped up. I grabbed a crate that usually belongs to our cat, and I ran outside to see if they were okay. They were, not doing very well and very distressed. So I kind of scooped them up and I put them in the crate, and I didn't really know what to do. I couldn't. I knocked on the door of the neighbors, and they weren't home. So I said, "Well, we'll throw them in the car, and we'll go to the nearest cat hospital," which didn't happen to be that far away. So we did that. So brought them there. Finally got a hold of the family, making sure everything was all right. But despite all of my efforts to try to save this cat, the cat didn't make it. He did end up passing away. So kind of, the question comes sometimes, we try to live compassionate lives. The whole Bodhisattva vow is to, vow to save all beings, to live compassionately. And what happens when that compassion doesn't work? Or what happens when that compassion is taken advantage of? I usually, almost every day, sometimes I forget, I wear a pendant of Avalokitesvara. It's evoked in our Heart Sutra that we just did. I believe that in the translation we use here, it's the Bodhisattva of Great Compassion, also known as Guan Yin in China, Kannon or Kanzeon in Japan, all the same person. And you've probably heard lots of stories about Avalokitesvara. My favorite part of this story, or the parable, though, is the origin story of Avalokitesvara. So they started off a pretty ordinary monk, a person, just kind of trying to figure things out like any of us. And they decided to make compassion the center of their practice. And they made a vow that I'm going to save every single person out there and I'm going to alleviate all suffering. And if I can't do that, then may I break into a million pieces. So, save them or bust. And at one point, which I think is probably the most important part of Avalokitesvara's story, is that they failed. They couldn't do it. They realized how many lives were to save and how little power they had. And just like their vow, they broke into 100 pieces. It says their head literally just split in two, which
I'm sure everybody's had that moment where you've tried so hard and at the end of the day, you know what? I'm just breaking. I can't do it. Of course, as any Buddhist parable goes, in the end, Amitabha Buddha came down and saw the pieces of Avalokitesvara, and out of the pieces of the split head grew 10 more heads on top of that, so that they could finally have the capacity to see and comprehend all the suffering of the world. And out of the shards of the arms grew hundreds and thousands of arms, so they could reach out and help all the people too. I think one of the cool parts of the mythos of Avalokitesvara is not only do they have the capacity to see and reach out to all the compassion, but they're a bit of a shapeshifter. If you've ever read of the way that it's described in the Lotus Sutra, they can be whatever they need to be compassion, which I think reminds us that compassion doesn't have to look like any certain thing. Compassion should be fluid. It should be whatever it needs to be in the moment. I like to have a slightly different interpretation of that story, because I know a lot of parables in Buddhism can be taken in a lot of different ways. You could take it literally, that he broke into a million pieces and Amitabha Buddha came down and gave him superpowers. But the way that I think is a little bit more helpful is that he came to this breaking point where his compassion was so tied to the outcome. I'm going to be compassionate and save everybody, and that's my goal. And when he finally came to the point to realize that that's not how compassion works, he completely broke down. And the arms and the heads and all the powers came from the final point where he realized compassion can't be tied to that goal, because that's how we shatter. And I think the powers of Avalokitesvara came when you realize that compassion has to be free. We have to follow the Four Noble Truths, so the no clinging, the no grasping. And just like we don't want to cling to worldly wealth and, power and all the things that they tell us, we also can't have our compassion tied to those things either, because that's not a true compassion. That's more of a commerce. I'll help you if you help me. I'll help you as long as it works. And so I really try to cling to that model of, if I try to be compassionate with a goal and with an aim, I'm going to shatter. But if I am just free with it, if I just live compassionately, because when you see that the world is tied together, that's the sort of natural way to act. So the chant that I gave right at the beginning, the Enmai Juko Kanen Gyo, it translates to the 10 verses. There's 10 lines of the eternal life of Canon, or Avalokitesvara, Guanyin, whatever name you'd like to choose. Sometimes I like to tell people too that if you're not really into the whole deities and personifications of things, pretty much every time that you see the name Avalokitesvara, you can substitute it with compassion. So, the 10 verses on maternal compassion, if you want. You could even take the first line of the Heart Sutra, Avalokitesvara, while deeply practicing Prajnaparamita, saw clearly that all 5 aggregates are empty and thus relieved all suffering. You could literally say compassion when practicing perfect wisdom, sees that all things are empty. To give you the English translation of the chant that I gave you, it goes, Kanzean, Avalokitesvara, compassion. Praise to Buddha, all are one with Buddha, all are awake to Buddha. Or another phrase would be that compassion and Buddha are causal conditions. They're together, one. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, freedom, joy, and purity, throughout the day, Kanzean, throughout the night, Kanzean, or throughout the day and throughout the night, compassion. This thought comes from Buddha mind, and this thought is one with Buddha mind. I think this kind of reinforces the idea that we don't act compassionately because we believe we can change the world. We act compassionately because when we see the world as a connected, independent place, that's just a natural way to express that. I guess to put another kind of story to it now, my father-in-law is currently in the hospital right now. We don't know if he'll be leaving the hospital. Sort of a silver lining is a lot of our family is up to see them. I just think of the absurdity if everybody in our family said, I'm only going to show up for him if we get the outcome that we want. And, if they pass away or they don't have the greatest last days of their lives, then all of our being there for him was a bust. And that's absurd if you think of it that way. But it's so ironic that we take our compassion as that way of so many other things, that, if my love for these people doesn't turn out in them turning their lives around, then it was all for nothing. Or, if I go out and try to change the world by, recycling and eating better, and the world still doesn't get better because of my actions, and it was all for nothing. And we would never say that to, a dying father. So I think that's a really important kind of gem to take from that. When I've been going through this, and I talked to my teacher Suji, she said the Enmai Jukai Kanen Gyo is traditionally chanted when somebody is very ill, or when you're going through something really hard, whether it's mental problems, depressions, sicknesses, and it's, like I said, chanted 7 times. And she once said, I don't know if spells or magic words exist, but if they do, it's the Enmai Jukai Kanen Gyo. Another thing I want you to realize is that when I read the verses and the translations, at no point was there a petition. There was no help me, Avalokitesvara, make things better, make me better, save my father, save the cat. It's just simply compassion, and Buddhism is one. And when those are one, I live with compassion. So we'll figure it out together. I don't know if I have any hard answers for you, but thank you again for inviting me here. Thank you very much again. We will take some time now to meditate. Begin with the 3 strikes.
So next we'll go over joys and concerns, and I'll begin with the one that's a concern that will hopefully turn into a joy. Every time I'm on vacation this week. Every time I have vacation, I try to take an hour a day to clean up the apartment, take old stuff that I've been hoarding for years, and look through it and get rid of it. I've got another old bureau. I had another battle with a different bureau, but there's another bureau I've had for almost my entire life. It's not quite stuffed full of things that I've had also almost my entire life. Weird, just knickknacks and whatever. And for me, it's always like a bit of a battle. There's the old Buddhist teaching that the objects of the world contain no self. They're not. You have nothing that's like when you have a car. It's my car. It's not really. There's no my that really exists out there in the world. That's a fabrication of your mind. But I have all these old, just useless little knickknacks, old baseball cards from when I was like a little kid, or I don't know, a smashed Tonka truck or something that's been it's stuck into a drawer forever. But there's something about it where I look at it and there's a little piece of me. It's like, don't get rid of it. That's a part of you. There's something of me in this thing, but really the only part of me that's in it is this projection that I have in my mind. So it's this actual real kind of like building myself up to do this practice. But once it's done, and this bureau that I've been telling myself for many years, it's falling apart too. It's got drawer fronts are falling off and tape holding it together. Once it's gone, and it'll be this beautiful empty space. So that'll be my journey for the next couple of days. I don't know if anybody else has a joy or concern.
I don't know which category this falls into, but our one of our Sangha members, James O'Toole, is recovering nicely from his heart surgery on Thursday. So sending out zippy dippy healthy recovery to him. Miss him very much and look to see him back here soon.
A joy and a concern. When I got here this morning, we live in a really challenging part of the neighborhood, and we have ambassadors that come up and down the sidewalks and clean the sidewalks, but it's a continual trash bin. So this morning I was out with my little grabber cleaning up and kind of muttering under my, just saying not so very Buddhist things about it. And then a couple people maintain it's a small piece of dirt, literally right outside there near the parking lot. And we brought in some plants from our own yards. And I asked our neighbors, the fish people, the aquarium, if we picked up the trash, if they would water our plants. And I have to tell you, they are so happy. If you want to take a peek, there's beautiful echinacea and nodding onion in this very barren piece of dirt. So I had a concern this morning that quickly turned into a joy. And I'm amazed that when we're out there working, the people that live on the streets or stay on the streets, they come by and they say thank you. So
I have a concern. Our dog Juno is 10. We just found a mass in his liver, and we had him in the emergency the last 72 hours. So he's hopefully on the road to recovery, but taking it one moment at a time. So I appreciate any positive energy. Thank you all.
Good morning. We have grandchildren coming from Alabama that are going to be with us for a week, and Allegan. And we're going to the Air Zoo tomorrow, Kalamazoo Air Zoo, and then to a club for swimming and going down a water slide, and then Meyer Gardens. So we're just excited about grandkids. Yay!
I have a joy. It's kind of ironic what a joy this is, because my father just recently died, and I went through a grieving process, but I think the bottom line is that I feel like I completed my soul contract with my father right in the past years of reconciliation before he died, and I feel very relieved that that happened, and I know that it was difficult for us, and now that he's passed, it's like there's a release of the conflict, or a release of the problem, and I feel like we're victorious in this, and so I feel good about it. So.
Hi, I've got a joy, and it's just based in gratitude in being here today at this practice. So thank you all.
I have a joy that my dad, part concern. My dad has cancer right now, and he's going through some really difficult treatments. And my mom's been his biggest supporter, but she took some time out of her busy life to come visit me this weekend, and she's here to practice with us all today. A very dedicated yogi. So I'm so grateful that she was able to come here to temple with me today and be part of this practice with us all. So thank you all for having us.
We got one from online. Ramsdale says they are recovering from a flare-up of fibromyalgia. Couldn't walk yesterday, but doing slightly better today. Hopefully they'll be better soon.
There are no more joys and concerns. We'll take a moment of silence. All right. I have a few announcements for the end of the service. Let's see. Remind everyone to arrange and flip their cushions, return their space to the way that you found it at the start of the service. Cushion handles, and I don't think that's too much of a concern, but the handles and tags face the back of the hall. Please return your chant books to the front page and place the incense offerings back into the book, and then hand them off to whomever is collecting them. And then also, finally, we'll invite everyone to go downstairs for tea and conversation if they'd like after the end of the service. When we will finish with our 3 closing gathas. Oh, sure. Yes. Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Good morning. My name is Ellen. I'm doing the Dana announcement for today. Dana in our practice means generosity. And that's what keeps the lights on and runs the show here. No one receives a paycheck in this temple, including our teachers, our tech support, whoever washes those socks, everything is done on a voluntary basis. If you would like to make a monetary donation, we have Donna boxes on both ends of our Dharma Hall. They take cash or a check. There's also a QR code on each box that will take you to PayPal. You can go to our website, zengr.org, and there's a donate button there where you can set up a one-time donation or a monthly donation, which you can cancel or change at any time. If you're watching on YouTube today, there's a little drop-down menu that will also take you to a donate button. If you would like to donate your time, we have plenty of things for you to do. If you'd like to help out with tech support, set up, tear down for different functions that we have downstairs. Also, don't forget toilet paper, paper towels, tea bags, anything else you can think of that the temple might need, or inquire as to maybe something that the temple does need, and fill that void. Thank you.
All right. I did have a couple other announcements real quick, just reminders that, let me see, Sunday service starts at 9. Oh, it doesn't start at 9, but it's open at 9 when we do the temple setup. So anyone that likes to show up early, they can help out. There's the board meeting. It happens on the third Sunday of every month. Online meditation group that meets Wednesdays from 7:30 to 8:15 p.m. That's via Zoom. And you contact Reverend Kunga for more information. And there's also the Buddhist-based recovery meetings. For more information, you contact Reverend Kaji Su. I've got his email if you would need it. It's Mondays, 6:30, meditation, and 7 o'clock meeting at the temple or via Zoom. Wednesdays, 6:30 at the Lano Club. It's at 1020 College Avenue, Northeast. And then Fridays, 10 a.m. meditation, 10:30 meeting in Garfield Park or via Zoom. Okay. Now, that's right.
One announcement, I'd like to reiterate what Shin Q said about the cushions. So the way the Dharma Hall looks is a reflection of our practice. And so one way to do that is your shoes out there should be nice and neat, straight. And so should these cushions. So some of them we have different ones. It makes it a little bit of a challenge, but all of these have a handle, and that should be facing to the back. And some of the actual cushions, mats, also have a tag, and that should be facing to the back. And the rituals and practice, if you're here, we really appreciated. Quite a few people showed up today, and we appreciate that. Hopefully that'll happen again next week. And so the last thing, when you have it all straightened up and they're all together, then just drop it. It looks nice. That's it.
All right. Oh.
I just wanted to say that tomorrow we're cleaning the temple, and just to piggyback off the cushions, the zafus and zabutons, we're going to pick them up today because tomorrow we're cleaning the temple. But it's good information for next time when we set up. We're no longer bringing chairs downstairs. We're bringing everything into that closet. So the zafus and zabutons, the cushions and the mats are going to go in the back. And then the very last thing to go in will be the tan chairs. I'll be back there kind of helping to direct that. So that's a really good change. Finally, the auxiliary, the temple auxiliary, some of my colleagues are here, temple auxiliary. We're planning an end of the year holiday sale. We're getting some really beautiful items that we're going to have an online auction for starting in November. Just beautiful items. And if anybody wants to donate a piece, if you're an artist or if you see a piece that you think would be nice for the auction, we'd really appreciate that. Thank you.
open our books for the 3 closing gathas. I'll just understand. For all
Skillful actions ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddhist teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain.
And in closing, I would ask both sides of the Sangha to silently bow to each other. That's it.
Let's party.